According to the Prime Minister here, it's not even a third of what Iraq is going to need, and important to note, they're just pledges, so they haven't actually been given the money. It's a commitment that will hopefully be honoured somewhere in the future. But on paper, Iraq's economy sort of looks okay. You know, economic growth is strong, but as I mentioned before, you know, the wealth isn't really being spread around. It is concentrated among a few individuals, and it's certainly concentrated in the urban areas. The government also having problems with tax, you know, with revenues. They're not getting enough from oil to pay off the debts, but it's a cash economy here. So, you know, people managing to slip through the loophole, and many claim, well, we don't want to pay it anyway because of the corruption. It just goes into people's pockets. But most of the issues revolve around oil, because that is really still the biggest driving economic force here in Iraq. A decade and a half ago, a US-led invasion toppled Saddam Hussein. Iraqis quickly toppled his statue. For 15 years, the feet of Saddam Hussein's statue have remained firmly planted on the ground behind me. They were only just recently removed, symbolic of the fact Iraq is trying to move on, but also of the slow pace of reconstruction. Iraq has the world's fifth largest proven oil reserves, and oil exports account for almost 100% of foreign exchange earnings. But there's a problem.
It is a little bit strange. We have oil, we are exporting 3.5 billion barrels per day, but at the same time, because leakage of the developing of the refineries and petrochemical industry in Iraq, we are also importing petroleum products.
And the earnings of crude oil exports are generally not seeping down to the pockets of average Iraqis.
The political process in Iraq is confused, unorganized in its plans and unbalanced in its schedules, all that led to confusion in the process of planning to raise income levels for the citizens.
Despite 15 years of conflict, Iraq's economy is improving, with some estimates putting GDP growth in the double digits. While shiny malls may be popping up in Baghdad and Erbil, there are still plenty of towns and cities across Iraq left in ruins by the fight against ISIL. Iraq's Prime Minister estimates that the war reconstruction bill will be $100 billion. Oil and aid will pay for some of that, but the hope is that consumer spending will also be a driving force as the shops reopen and the economy bounces back. For business to keep booming, Iraq's fragile peace in the wake of ISIL's defeat will need to become something more permanent. And this month the government also announced a new program which would see shares in oil revenues distributed among citizens at some point in the future, and also a new program that would more equally distribute oil revenues through the regions. But as we heard there from Iraq's ambassador to China, there's still plenty of challenges here in oil production. Many of the refineries still out of action. That's because there's still a lot of war damage, and that feeds back into reconstruction and the need to raise that reconstruction money that Iraq still does not have.